Lord. Oh man, this just brings all of the absurd religious obnoxiousness out of me. What I'm hearing, y'all. If I hear one more atheist, they should call themselves ex-theist. But if I hear one more atheist call someone illogical, I think I'm gonna have to throw a parade. I think I'm gonna have to throw a parade with atheist floats, and all of the floats will be invisible. And when you ask the people, what's the name of this float? Just let them come up with something off the top of their head, and anything will do. Now listen, you guys. Some of you young believers that I see you on these pages, I'm not going to call anybody's names because I'm not, people say what they say, so I don't have to call anyone's name. People have the page that they have, and you can go there and find them. Now, I hope my camera and my sound, I'm talking slow purposely because sometimes, depending on how much memory I'm using at any particular time, my camera is struggling to keep up with the signal that my image and my voice is sending to it. But listen, you guys, try to understand something. No one can start off illogical and then expect to end up logical. Now look, I know a whole lot of you, okay, let me just say it this way. Any person that is black and calling themselves an atheist, people gotta wonder who you are. Now, here's what you're going to see. You're going to see more and more a line between a certain group of black people and other black people. Oh man, you separating blacks. I know you're not naive enough to think that I have the power to do that, or that that's not something that has happened to us throughout the centuries. But here's why I say that. You guys, there are some black people who know who they are. They're not guessing who they are. There are some black people who know that their lineage extends far beyond Africa. Okay? There are some black people who know they're not African, nor are they American. There are some black people who know that their ancestry, their genetic bloodline, and their heritage has nothing to do with where they live locatably. Can we settle that? You Negroes over here, you're not an American. Bless God, you're not even Negro. Some of you, you're having a real exciting time because you're getting your chance to pick a winner again out of all the criminals who are presidents. They gave you your half-black president, so they've dispensed of that whole notion, and now you're getting ready to pick of the litter again. I don't even want to get into discussing presidents and all of that, because where I come from, there's no kingdom, there's no authority, there's no government, there's no rule. that is worth my endorsement or a vote. Not of us, you have to, when I was into voting and stuff, you have to ignore that you got slim pickings with every election year. You have to ignore it. You have to ignore that you got to pick a white man, and you got to trust that the white man is going to do you right. And you got to trust that he's going to give a nigga a shot. And some of you, you're on the bandwagon with the government. I even hear black people say, our government. You were never created to be governed. One day, hopefully, before you shut your eyes, you're going to realize what a mistake you made letting people govern you, govern your thinking, govern your worldview, govern your expectations. You were never created to be governed by anyone. And that sounds weird, huh? That sounds amazing, huh? That sounds like that's a pipe dream or a fairy tale, or too good to be true. You were never created to be governed by anyone. As a matter of fact, that's why we have all the problems that we have in the world. I mean, in the whole world. That's why we have all the problems that we have. Because someone is imposing what they believe. And they're imposing their ability to control over someone else. You can't even imagine a world without that happening. Well, we gotta have government. Who told you that? Just think back, who told you that? I won't play around with it. The ones who told you that are the ones governing you. It's as simple as that. You gotta have them because they gotta govern. That's the bottom line. So all of our problems are because someone is controlling us. Now, we can get into the extreme reason why we have problems. The extreme reason why we have problems is because people are violating the laws. And I'm not talking about the laws that were set up by the government, which come out of the framework of the greater law. I'm talking about spiritual laws. You got people running their mouths and yapping, and they do not know what they're talking about. They're in on a trend. And if you ask them to make logical step-by-step sense out of what they're saying, as they're swearing, they're logical. They're logical above people that claim to have faith. Their way of thinking, their belief, and their religion. They don't want to call it a religion. It is a religion, and it's as religious as hell. And it acts like as much of a Christian as Christians do. And I'm talking about this atheism. They've created a word that speaks of an adversity to, or a refusal to recognize theology, theism. Why do you have to title something that doesn't exist? And see, this is how maniacal and insane and menacing to your own psychology that belief and that religion, yes it is, makes you. Religion is any form or pattern of thinking that has a belief system that governs your practical, everyday life and activities. That's a religion. For you to have no religion at all and no belief at all means you just sit and you don't do anything. everyone has a belief, and everyone has a religion. But I won't argue that with you. Let's get back to this logic thing. And this will be a very short video. No, shorter than usual. I'll make it long. I can hardly believe that we have to be in this dialogue with people. But you guys, people are so arrogant and proud. So sure that they are above the next man because they don't believe what the next man believes. I'm going to read something to you. Just give me a second to dig this up. Maniacal. Crazy. All right. Look at this. Come on, where you at? Where you at? Where they 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 at? Is it here? Okay. Look at this. Atheism. The belief that there was nothing and nothing happened to nothing, and then nothing magically exploded for no reason, creating everything, and then a bunch of everything magically rearranged itself for no reason whatsoever into self-replicating bits, which then turned into dinosaurs. Makes perfect sense. Then the next comment says, atheism is not a religion. Atheism is a personal relationship with reality. Now the same person put these comments up. I don't need to call the person's name, but atheism is the belief that there was nothing and nothing happened to nothing, and then nothing magically exploded for no reason, creating, you see that word? Creating everything. And then also atheism is the belief. Okay? So they do have a belief system which makes them religious. And then nothing magically exploded for no reason, creating everything. And then a bunch of everything magically rearranged itself for no reason whatsoever into self-replicating bits, which then turned into dinosaurs. Makes perfect sense. My statement is it takes a whole lot of faith to believe that. Then it says atheism is not a religion. Atheism is a personal relationship with reality. Total nuts. Totally insane. Totally insane. Your God belongs in your church, your home, and your head. So keep him out of my government, my schools, and my life. Now, I can see a white person saying that, or a so-called white person saying that, because I don't even believe people of colors. But a black person saying that, or a so-called black person saying that, that makes as much sense as atheism. You don't have no government. You don't have no schools. And if you've chosen atheism, guess what? You're saying you don't have a life. Now, before you get offended, You just look at your statements. Look at your statements. Look at what you're saying. And look at how illogical you're being. Now, here's why I say an atheist is the most illogical person going. As they boast in being logical over Christians. Now, believe me, I'm not a Christian. I was a Christian, but if I were a Christian, I wouldn't be ashamed of it. But I've learned about Christianity, and you don't have to be a Christian to believe that you were made by a creator. Let's see if this is an important call. Hello.
Andy and Daddy. Oh, I just heard his voice.
What's going on? Okay, and can you talk to him, Andy? I'm making a video. What's going on?
Oh, okay. Oh, I just wanted to ask Daddy if he has wood glue, and I was also going to ask him if he has wood glue, then
You better get some wood glue. I don't think I have any.
Okay, and I was also going to ask if I have wood glue, do I have to clamp whatever I'm gluing together?
It depends. It's best if you do.
Okay.
I have a little clamp, or you can get some clipper clamps.
And also if the saws are working.
Yeah, Gwen, they're working.
Okay, cool, bye. Oh, do you have like a handsaw?
Gwen, I
Like
don't.
a jigsaw?
I know, I don't.
Oh, you gotta get one of those. Oh, alright.
Okay.
Okay, bye. I'll answer next time, Daddy.
Thank you.
Take the phone.
Thank you.
You're welcome, huh? Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
So listen. It's my daughters. Nothing from nothing is nothing. Nothing can come out of nothing. And it is illogical. It is insane. It is psychologically murderous to everyone that you talk to concede that nothing can create nothing. And if you say you're an atheist, you're not allowed to use the word create. I'll use what I want. Well, you can. The Creator gave you free choice. He even gave you free choice to be a fool. It's not my words. It's the words written by the prophet, the chief musician, David, one of my ancestors. You can't start off illogical and then run around accusing people of being illogical. As you say, you're logical and you deal with reality. I'm just going to give you a simple analogy. This here is a director garment printer. Okay, I use this printer to create t-shirts. I'm overhauling it right now. Okay, that's one of the t-shirts that I printed on the printer. Okay, listen, people, everything that you do in life requires that you start with something to create something, for that something to either provide sustenance, enjoyment, necessity as it relates to function, or in other words, everything that you utilize, everything that you enjoy, everything that you expect to participate in or benefit from comes out of you doing something and creating something, and you have to do that thing in order, and you have to have a plan, a schedule, times of interval where you execute certain actions that come out of organized thinking that have a vision and a goal in mind. In essence, nothing productive comes out of something that doesn't exist. Don't plan. Don't go to work. Don't envision. Don't organize. And see what you'll have. As a matter of fact, if you don't believe what I'm saying, then stop breathing. And if there is no pattern of behavior that is right and wrong, if there are no spiritual laws that govern, if there is no one keeping things in order, then stop submitting to anyone. Stop submitting to these men who are telling you, I asked what time to come to work. Stop submitting to mortgage companies and insurance companies and tax collectors. And stop. Stop doing anything that requires order and you obeying any law, any statute, any ordinance, or any policy. Stop. Stop living. Stop. Because everything that is organized, that brings success, comes out of a very organized creator. As a matter of fact, the only way this thing can run and function, you people are I see some of you shaking your head and sending your little memes at Christians, and it's hilarious because you people are some of the most empty-headed, irresponsible, white man dependent people. And I'm talking about Negroes. I don't even talk to Caucasian people. Caucasian people think they have a handle on the world. And some of you are so filled with self-hate, you've deceived yourself into thinking it's sophistication and education. You're so filled with self-hate that you follow them hook, line, and sinker. Your grandmama may have been an ignorant, praying, religious person, but you know damn well she ain't taught you that there was no God. And the cards are stacked against you. You're trying to gain momentum. It drives you crazy when you see people that have faith. And your insanity and your illogical thinking does not go along with your lifestyle, because your lifestyle is very logical. And you're in denial. Your lifestyle is very logical. But when you see people believing things that are written, that occurred in their history, and I'm talking about black people, because another problem you got, you think that white men wrote the Bible, and you think that the characters are the people. They're not really characters. They're characters to you because to you it's a fairy tale. But you think the individuals in there, the people in there, are fictionary characters. You think that's the history of the black man. That's why the black man is so confused. Some of you think you always are talking about how you read the Bible. I had some youngster tell me 90% of that book is fairy tales. 90% of it is fables. Well, what makes you think I have enough faith to believe that you've read 50% of it? What makes you think that I have enough faith to believe that you even understand it? You're asking me to have great faith, to even think that you understand what you read. Anyone who is, I'm telling you, anyone who is looking at the Bible as a crazy document full of contradictions, you clearly to me are showing, not only are you not spiritually discerning, you haven't read that book with understanding. I made a comment and I said that for many black people, reading the Bible is like being introduced to a mechanic's manual written in 3rd Dynasty Chinese, and you have no idea of how to apply anything that you've read because you don't understand it. Now, for some of you who say that the Bible is a book of fairy tales and a book of fiction, maybe all of you atheists don't believe this. Maybe some of you believe in evolution. But for those of you who call the Bible a book of fiction, atheism, the belief that there was nothing and nothing happened to nothing and then nothing magically exploded for no reason, creating everything, and then a bunch of everything magically rearranged itself for no reason whatsoever into self-replicating bits, which then turned into dinosaurs. Makes perfect sense. I don't know if the person was being facetious or not, but somebody actually posted that. See that? Maybe you can see it. I don't know. Somebody actually posted that. Okay? I think I'll write that down. Because this atheism thing, I feel I'm getting off of some of the pages with people because they don't stop. You know, it's like, wow. They are bashing something that they don't believe in. No, I'm not bashing it. I'm just bashing the belief of it. You don't have to bash the belief of something that doesn't exist. That doesn't make sense. I tell you, people are illogical. Atheism is not religion. Atheism is a personal relationship with reality. And then I have people saying my statements about a higher power and being protected. Let me tell you something. These niggas will bring you into total chaos if you believe them. Do you realize your independent thinking is what creates your circumstance in your world? Do you realize that? Do you know why they have stopped the minds of the most powerful black men in society? Because those men had mouths that were filled with energy that could control the world. Whether they were Michael Jackson, Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, or Malcolm X. Marcus Garvey, pick any of them. Whatever issues and disagreements they had with one another, they're all settled now. Because they're in the same place. And don't tell me that there is no afterlife. You are an idiot. You got criminals who died peacefully who need to get that ass caned when they get to where they're going. And you got righteous men who died violently, unjustly, were murdered at the hands of roaches and maggots. And you can't tell me that their life didn't count for nothing and they're just gone. You are the most illogical, maniacal, satanic, and demonic people ever. You're not all malicious, but some of you don't know the spirit of maliciousness and death that reigns on your mind. And you speak it every day because your words send people into the abyss with no security of a higher power that watches over them. And the cold thing about it is you take advantage of the long suffering and mercy of this higher power. Because you're like a selfish child. crying out against what has had you here. And one doesn't need to go into the Bible. You know, I shy away from answering people's questions in the Bible where they think they're going to catch you. Because first of all, some of these questions that people ask, they ask them all out of context. They tell me that God didn't say slavery is okay. Any God that would have people being slaves, I wouldn't want to serve. You ain't serving him no way. You're a selfish, blind, illogical person. It is not in your psychological makeup to serve someone who serves you. And why not serve him? He serves you. He wakes your ass up every morning. You're not waking yourself up, and when you close your eyes, you don't know if you're going to wake up. Your illogical, maniacal behavior and filthy thinking denies so many truths. There is not a book that you can find that tells, prophesies how every man comes into being. No book ever said it clear. Well, no, there are ancient writings that the Bible has come from. Show me. Show me. You always want to pull up ancient writings. The Bible is so basic and yet so intricate. The Bible is the first book that tells you how man got here. Then it tells you how men are born after the first man got here. And your ass fulfills it. Because every time you stick something in a woman, if the situation is right, something comes out of it. And it lives and it breathes, even though it's in a sack of water inside his mother's womb. It doesn't drown, and it comes out and it acts just like the Bible said it would act. And if it stops breathing, then it's gone. But then when it goes to sleep or dies, as we commonly understand it, it does what the Bible says. It goes back to the dust. Everyone sends the body back to the dust. And even if a body was not buried in dust, even if it was burned to ashes, it diminishes to dust. You are simply maniacal, a lunatic, and you probably believe the world is spinning around 24,954 times and is a sphere, a ball. Because the spirit of the fallen angels that you don't think are real told your people that. And now, black people, you're losing your mind. There was a time when you knew there was a God. There was a time when you knew that white people being around you was dangerous, because they have no sense of who God is, and they certainly have no respect for you. You have forgotten how nice Christians in Oklahoma bombed your people's rich culture simply because your people were black and they were jealous. You have forgotten how the two people that are in the neck and neck in the race now, running for president, showed the world that you didn't mean shit to any of them. And let me lay a word of prophecy down for you. This next administration, I don't care who it is, they're going to show you how much this government doesn't give a shit about you. And I'm not really talking to white people right now. I'm talking to black people. Because every day I look at you, I see you becoming more and more whitewashed by your spiritual beliefs, thinking you're black. You believing that there is no God. You are filled with the knowledge and the spirit of the man who is your oppressor, because you get your knowledge and information from him. And if he's removing consciousness and a sense of awareness that there is a God from you, guess what? He's your God. Now, I'm my own self. No, you're not. Because if you were your own self, you would not have adopted that word atheism. Say you made it up. Go ahead, lie and say you made it up. You don't even know where it came from. Believing all kinds of weird shit like you came from a monkey. like you descended from amoeba or liquid or fluid. I said, nothing in life is like that. Everything has order. Everything has a creator. Even the little inventions you use, the food you eat, the places you go. There needs to be a mass gathering of all of you. And someone, a simple ignorant grandmama that can't even read, needs to sit you all down and put you in touch with your spirit. Your spirit is logical and it thinks in simple principles. The way of truth is simple. It's not complicated. It's only complicated to you, and you're only getting hung up on shit that doesn't matter, like what they used to do to women who lied about being a virgin. What does that shit matter to you? That's not even a law that God ever expected that we would have to carry out. If you don't know the hermeneutics of the Bible, the proper context according to time and dispensations as it relates to ministerial gift of grace and the dispensation of grace that came through Yehoshua Mashiach. A lot of people call him Jesus and think he's blonde and blue-eyed. He was black, and his name ain't no damn Jesus. The Most High is not even a God. We are gods. You're ignorant and you're illogical, and you're too proud and too blind to admit it. Because anyone that says all of this came out of nothing and created itself, if there's a word a cross between liar and ignorant, a hybrid word, that's what you are. You can't help it, something is lied to you. And I don't want to antagonize you too much, but you need to stop and look at yourself. How dare you call any Christian illogical? At least they have documentation that is written. At least they have a prophecy thousands of years ago, that says the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. A prophecy that knew you would come along. And you black people, that self-hate inferiority complex that was imposed on you, you wear it well. Every time you say you're an atheist, like I said, you guys need to be rounded up and let an ignorant, illiterate, non-graduating from junior high school, old black church person, grandmama, grandfather, grandmother for the women, grandfather for the men, tell you about God. I know you think everybody that talks about God is a Christian, the white man's religion and all that. That's because you've been Willie Lynch hijacked in a spiritual way. Ain't no white man wrote the Bible. If you study the Bible historically, you will find out that everybody in there significant, including the Messiah himself, was black. He was black in his skin and all of that. No, well, I worship him in spirit and in truth. An ethnicity is not a spirit. Some of you black people, you are so spooked up by these white men that Christianity done gotten in you, and that atheism done gotten in some of you others. And they're both the same. Because both of you talk about things that you don't believe, and both of you contradict yourselves. The only way you can read that Bible and understand it and not contradict yourself is to know the origin of that Bible and the heritage of the people of whom that Bible has a history constructed around, talking about the dealings and the creation of the Most High God. Do yourself a favor and get away from your maniacal, illogical thinking, because you have to admit, for nothing to come out of nothing and create organization is the most illogical statement that any of you can make, especially talking about being logical. I think I'll do an audio tape on atheism. It'll sound like this. Maybe I'll write a book on atheism. All the pages will look like this. Atheism says it has no beliefs, has no religion. There is no creator or originator of anything. And they don't believe in anything. They think it is a...
They don't offer you any alternative. And they remove you from the thing that controls what's happening in the universe, your faith. You young believers, I want you to know your faith is what controls the universe. I want you to know that Satan knows that. And I want you to know that he has filled some of these people with a mission to destroy themselves and to take as many people into destruction and ignorance with them. And he's scoring on black people like gangbangers. A person running around talking about he's an atheist and he's black. In your own way, you are as suicidal to yourself as a depressed, deranged lover, and you are destructive to the minds of your young people. As a gangbanger doing black on black crime. Because when you take your people away from their creator and their God, you put them in the hands of the white man. Because most of you feel that education and success in his society is the mark and badge of authority. And for you to say that you are a product of something other than a loving creator, you're making yourself a slave to the man who has been like God and ruled over every area of your life. The real believers are going to take this shit over. I promise you. They won't have to be violent. They won't have to try to take anything and integrate with anyone. But guess what? They will hold their minds. And you young believers, I don't care what scripture you don't know. Tell some of these ignorant assholes that they don't need to look at the Bible to find truth. They can look at you. And let me tell you what the foundation of God stands on. It doesn't stand on how much you know about the Bible. It stands on the fact that the one who created you knows who you are. And in the proper time, he will exalt you over all of these fools who are using the breath that he gave him to say that he doesn't exist. And deep down in their inner selves, they don't believe that. Let me tell you what the Bible describes them as. Haters of God. It's like someone being disappointed in his father and saying, I ain't got no daddy. They were taught to hate God. And the spirit of hatred for God comes from the white man. Because there are men up in the echelon of the elite society who know that the people in that Bible who are destined to rule the world are black men. They know it, and it's just like the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch, the Denzel Washington movie, a wicked ass man feeling that having his hands on the written truth would somehow ascribe something to him, and he's a wicked motherfucker. And that book did him no good, because first of all, it was written in Braille. And that was a very powerful symbolic movie, because it speaks of things as they exist. The Vatican Church and men even in secret societies that do rituals and sacrifice and blood drinking and killing people and bestiality, homosexuality, bisexuality, all kinds of filthy stuff, they know who these two powers struggling in the spirit are. Good and evil. God's not struggling with anyone. But you have been called to wrestle against principalities, against powers, against authorities, against dominions, against evil, wicked spirits in high heavenly places. And you, black man, are the designated leader and ruler of the world. Don't make sense, huh? Sound crazy to you, huh? But you can understand being a slave, but you can't understand being a ruler. You need to learn what that Bible says. You need to learn what the Apocrypha says too. Because nothing in the Bible positions you to be a slave. The white men made you slaves. So when you see slave in the Bible, it's not talking about this atrocious shit that happened in America. I'm committed to teaching and leading my people in whatever segment of ministry I've been given out of darkness. I don't want no money. I don't want nobody sending me no donations, and I don't have no church building. But you need to get your minds fixed. Some of you are so sophisticated in the white man's doctrines and teachings, you are a fool. And don't get mad at me. Read Psalm 14:1. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. This has been a message to deliver you from your insanity. To have you wake up and realize that you are sitting in a prison. High level security, maximum security. Looking at your brother and telling him to come out of jail. And he's looking at you and saying, I'm already free. I'm just wondering why you're sitting in that prison, thinking that you are. You be blessed until the next time. Out of time, but not out of word.